This is Nightline, and I'm Liyana Hassanel. The top stories. Strict enforcement drives Malaysia to 54th in global anti-graft rank, says Prime Minister. And Sultan of Selangor calls for an end to unregulated houses of worship. Good morning. Malaysia's rise to 54th place in the 2025 Corruption Perceptions Index, CPI, reflects the government's efforts to combat systemic corruption and address weaknesses in the country's governance structure. In a social media post late Tuesday, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the improved CPI score was driven by strict enforcement actions by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, Police, Inland Revenue Board and Customs Department. Such efforts included the recovery of more than 15.5 billion ringgit in state revenue through asset seizures, fund recovery and the crackdown on long-standing corruption syndicates and leakages. Anwar also said the achievement serves as a reminder to intensify anti-corruption efforts consistently and courageously in order to restore public confidence and safeguard the nation's trust. The CPI ranking was disclosed by Transparency International TI Malaysia earlier on Tuesday. In the report, Malaysia ranked third among ASEAN countries, trailing behind Singapore and Brunei. Malaysia also scored 52 out of 100 in the 2025 index, a 2-point improvement over 2023 and 2024. Globally, Malaysia is positioned at 54 out of 182 countries in the CPI ranking. Citing the result, TI Malaysia said recent initiatives contributing to Malaysia's improved ranking include implementing the Finance and Fiscal Responsibility Act 2023 and amending the Audit Act 1957 to enhance the Auditor General's oversight over government-linked companies and government-linked investment companies. Other efforts comprise new legislation like the Government Procurement Bill and the Whistleblower Protection Act amendments in 2025. On the areas which require continuous improvements, TI Malaysia said these include procurement transparency, effective whistleblower protection, and the regulation of political financing. Sultan of Selangor, Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah, has emphasized that every place of worship must be built only after proper applications have been submitted and lawful approval obtained from both the government and local authorities in full compliance with all relevant laws and guidelines. His Royal Highness also highlighted the importance of respecting the sensitivities of a multi-ethnic and multi-religious society and called for any construction of places of worship without approval to be stopped or resolved. In a statement, Sultan Sharafuddin stressed that any construction of places of worship without proper approval, particularly those involving encroachment on government or private land, could lead to disputes and pose security risks to both the state and the nation. His Royal Highness reminded the government and local authorities to scrutinize every application to construct houses of worship to ensure they are processed transparently, fairly, and in an orderly manner without disregarding existing laws. He further called on the authorities to monitor the setting up of houses of worship so that any construction carried out without permission on government and private land can be eradicated. To date, there are 687 unauthorized Hindu temples in Selangor, comprising 388 on government land and 299 on private land. The ruler also expressed full support for Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim's stance against the construction of any houses of worship that do not comply with established rules and regulations. Meanwhile, Sultan Sharafuddin said he does not consent to pig farming being conducted in any district in Selangor, citing the potential for air and water pollution from such activities. His Royal Highness urged the government to instead consider issuing additional licenses for the import of pork to meet the demand and needs of non-Muslims in the state. In a separate statement, Sultan Sharafuddin welcomed the Prime Minister's recommendation that the state government cancel the large-scale pig farming project in Bukit Tagar. The Sultan said neither large nor small-scale pig farming was suitable for Selangor because of the limited land in the state, which he said should be used for purposes that would bring more benefits to the people. Sultan Sharafuddin's remarks come after a proposed pig farming project in Bukit Tagar, Hulu Selangor, was cancelled following strong opposition from residents. He emphasized that although air and river pollution could be mitigated using modern methods, such measures would require substantial expenditure and are unlikely to be financially viable for pig farm operators solely supplying pork in Selangor. There's also no guarantee that modern farming practices would completely prevent pollution in water catchment areas and rivers that serve as the source of clean water for residents in the Klang Valley. The ruler further called for the issue involving pig farms to be brought to an end, as it has caused unease among all parties, affecting peace and harmony. Malaysia is experiencing prolonged hot and dry conditions, with daily temperatures reaching up to 35 degrees Celsius, and experts warning that the heat could persist until April. Some areas have already gone weeks without rainfall, prompting heatwave alerts in several states. Nightline's Nurin Razmin reports.
According to experts, the current weather pattern is due to the waning northeast monsoon, with the monsoon trough shifting south towards the southern South China Sea. This has left northern states experiencing clearer skies, drier winds, and less rainfall. The Madden-Julian Oscillation, a weather system that usually brings thunderstorms, is also in a dry phase, further reducing rainfall. As a result, temperatures are now averaging between 34 and 35 degrees Celsius. Met Malaysia has issued a level 1 heatwave alert for parts of Kedah, where temperatures can reach between 35 and 37 degrees for 3 consecutive days. In Langkawi, 38 consecutive days without rain have been recorded, the longest dry spell in the country so far this year. Nightline took to the streets to find out how people are dealing with the rising temperatures. Many say the intense heat is making work tougher than ever.
Do you think this weather, the hot weather, can affect your daily activities?
Yeah, I definitely do think it affects your daily activities. So I'm a sales rep, and being on the go all the time. Sometimes you need to park outside and walk quite a distance. Yeah.
Others say the hot weather is also affecting their health.
So whenever there's hot weather, then it will affect me. Another thing is people can get migraine if the weather is too hot.
Malaysia yang take seriously is yang ada masalah kulit lah, macam eczema, ada psoriasis, I think, especially hot weather sekarang.
Prolonged exposure to heat can lead to dehydration, heat exhaustion, and serious health risk. Symptoms of heat exhaustion include heavy sweating, dizziness, nausea, and rapid pulse, which can turn severe if left untreated. Relief is expected during the inter-monsoon period around April, when more rainy days are forecast.
As the hot weather continues, health experts are urging the public to take extra precaution and seek medical assistance if necessary, especially for the children and the elderly. Nurin Razmin for Nightline, TV3.
Meanwhile, cloud seeding operations will be conducted in Johor, Kedah and Perak from Wednesday until Sunday. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said the operations are being carried out in light of declining water levels at several dams due to prolonged hot weather. Ahmad Zahid, who is also chairman of the National Disaster Management Committee, or NADMA, said water levels at 7 dams in those 3 states have seen a sudden decline.
Dia telah sampai ke peringkat amaran, ya, dan kita tidak mahu bila sampai ke peringkat yang kritikal baru kita berusaha. Ya. Sebab sekarang ni kita sedang mengalami musim barat daya, ya, MBD. Selepas
sekali awal tengah sesuai. Kualiti awal itu
Awal, Ketua Pengarah Narman kata awal tengah sesuai.
He said cloud seeding will be carried out at the Upper Layang, Pulai 1 and Machap dams in Johor on Wednesday, Thursday and Sunday, while operations at the Pedu, Muda and Ahning dams in Kedah, as well as the Bukit Merah Dam in Perak, will begin on Friday and Saturday. Former Felda chairman and Negeri Sembilan Menteri Besar Tan Sri Isa Samad will begin his 6-year jail term after the federal court reinstated his prison sentence and a 15.45 million ringgit fine for corruption. Upholding the punishment, the court described corruption as a grave offence and a heinous act that can destroy a nation. A 3-member bench led by Datuk Nordin Hassan allowed the prosecution's appeal, overturning a Court of Appeal decision that had previously acquitted the 76-year-old of all charges. Other members of the bench were Datuk Lee Swee Seng and Datuk Che Muhammad Ruzima Ghazali. Nordin, in delivering the unanimous decision, said the Court of Appeal had erred in its reversal. The court found that Isa used an intermediary to solicit political funds from a businessman whose company stood to benefit from the approval of Felda Investment Corporation Sindir Murhat's purchase of the Merdeka Palace Hotel and Suites. The court said the sentence of 6 years imprisonment for each charge is to be served concurrently, and a total fine of 15.45 million ringgit is appropriate and in accordance with the law. The court held that the offences had been proven beyond a reasonable doubt and that the respondent failed to rebut the presumption under the MACC Act. A factory worker's dream of welcoming his first child was shattered after his wife was 3 months pregnant, died in a house fire. The tragic incident occurred at 5 a.m. on Tuesday in Taman Damai Jaya, Skudai, Johor. The heart-wrenching moment was captured as the victim's husband, 24-year-old Irfan Ibrahim, received news of the passing of his wife, Wan Nur Khairani Wan Nur Zaini, aged 21. The fire also claimed the life of the couple's friend, 22-year-old Muhammad Shahrizal Yap, who had been living in the same house for the past 2 months. According to the Fire and Rescue Department, the blaze is believed to have started in the living room on the ground floor. Both victims were found unconscious on the upper floor and were later confirmed dead. Johor Bahru Utara District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Raden Ramlan Raden Taha said the case has been classified as sudden death. Further investigation will continue to ensure that no criminal elements were involved. Khazanah Nasional recorded a resilient performance for the year ended December 31st, 2025, with net assets of 105 billion ringgit and returns of 5.2% for the financial year. Its managing director, Dato Amirul Faisal Wan Zahir, said the results were underpinned by disciplined portfolio management and a focus on long-term value creation. Speaking at Khazanah's 2026 annual review, Amirul said the Sovereign Wealth Fund posted 5.6 billion ringgit in profit from operations, despite global uncertainty. The fund also paid 2 billion ringgit in dividends to the government, reinforcing its role as a key contributor to national economic growth.
It's important for us to actually have that balanced portfolio, to manage to diversify the risk, so then when we look at the returns, it's fairly consistent. There's going to be cycles. There's going to be cycles up and down, but the focus is on long-term return.
He added that Malaysia's outlook remains resilient this year, supported by private and foreign investment, even as global growth is expected to moderate.
How is Pahang leveraging talent to boost long-term economic growth? What indicators truly show that capacity-building efforts are working? How do state-linked institutions maintain social impact while staying financially sustainable? Muhammad Ahmad Hamdan speaks with Dali Kumar Sadar of Yayasan Pahang only on Money Matters this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Malaysia's wholesale and retail trade registered total sales of 163.7 billion ringgit in December 2025, a year-on-year increase of 7.6%. This contributed to total annual sales of 1.87 trillion ringgit in 2025, representing annual growth of 5.6%. According to the Statistics Department, the increase in sales for December was primarily driven by the wholesale trade and retail trade subsectors. Wholesale trade recorded total sales of 71.1 billion ringgit, an increase of 4.6 billion ringgit, translating to a year-on-year growth of 6.9%, while the retail trade also posted total sales of 70.4 billion ringgit, rising by 4.6 billion ringgit, with a year-on-year growth of 6.9%. Online retail sales continued to grow in December, with the sales index rising 8.9% year-on-year, compared with 7.3% in the previous month. For the full year of 2025, retail trade expanded by 6.1% to 811.5 billion ringgit, while wholesale trade grew 5.8% to 827.4 billion ringgit. Singapore's economy grew 6.9% year-on-year in the fourth quarter of 2025, exceeding the official advance estimate of 5.7%. On a quarter-on-quarter, seasonally adjusted basis, GDP expanded 2.1% from October to December, also above the advance estimate of 1.9%. Full-year growth for 2025 came in at 5.0%, up from a preliminary reading of 4.8% and slightly below the revised 5.3% growth recorded in 2024. Meanwhile, the Trade Ministry upgraded its 2026 GDP forecast to 2 to 4%, up from 1 to 3%, citing stronger than expected global economic momentum in the fourth quarter. Senior citizen crushed to death in Cebu. This and more after this breather.
Shop membawakan anda promosi istimewa di bulan Ramadan. Wow, sama-sama berkat. Raikan keberkatan sambil menikmati penjimatan hebat. Bermula 19 Januari ini, selamat menyambut bulan penuh rahmat. Jimat berbelanja penuh makna.
Mangsa telah mengadakan hubungan intim dengan tertuduh kedua, iaitu isteri kepada tertuduh pertama.
Pada hari jadi mangsa tersebut, mangsa meninggal dunia.
Ini adalah pengedar dadah di kawasan selatan tanah air.
Dan semati juga telah disumbat ke dalam sebuah reban ayam.
Kadang kita memilih, kadang kita terpilih. Bahagia itu pilihan, tak perlu sempurna. Tapi Syira, saya pilih buah rambutan sebab dia unik lepas tu sedap. Nak tahu tak menu masakan dari rambutan? Suntik sini, potong sana, tak pernah puas. Jangan sampai cantik bau mudarat, kita bincangkan. Masalah tidur, jangan dipandang mudah. Adakah boleh mendatangkan maut? Segera dapatkan rawatan. Kurang komunikasi, bina jurang pemisah. Selamatkan rumah tangga sebelum terlambat. Semuanya di Wanita Hari Ini TV3 dan stream sekarang ditonton.
Hai! Saya nak kawan boleh?
Anim, dulu zaman sekolah awak suka subjek apa? Mestilah sejarah. Kita sebagai rakyat Malaysia kena tahu asal-usul negara kita. Usus bocor jangan ambil mudah, boleh bawa mudarat pada badan. Harga sama, tapi kenapa saiz makanan dan barangan semakin kecil? Nantikan kupasannya. Cendawan emas punca rezeki dan pendapatan menguntungkan. Harta anda disita atau dibekukan, apa perlu buat? Semuanya di MHI, Isnin hingga Jumaat, eksklusif ditonton dan TV3.
Welcome back. Police have arrested 6 individuals believed to be members of an online sextortion syndicate and are hunting for another 6 suspects linked to the group. Active since 2024, the syndicate is believed to have earned more than 3 million ringgit from its scam activities. Inspector General of Police Datuk Sri Muhammad Khalid Ismail said the activities of the syndicate led by a 23-year-old local man were uncovered under Op Bugil. The group also comprised 11 other individuals aged between 18 and 37.
Sindiket ini menjalankan kegiatan penipuan dengan mencipta akaun media sosial palsu atau menyamar sebagai wanita, menarik untuk memperdaya mangsa agar melakukan panggilan video lucah.
The top cop said the syndicate also recruited local workers, including minors, before forcing them to work overseas. The suspects were found to have multiple criminal records for human trafficking, child pornography, armed robbery, and drug distribution. All those detained are scheduled to be charged in the Johor Bahru Sessions Court this Thursday. In Pahang, drugs valued at more than 2 million ringgit were seized during a raid on an unoccupied terraced house in Mentakap, Temerloh on January 22nd. The 12:40 p.m. operation, carried out by Pahang Customs, saw the seizure of more than 44 kilograms of drugs, including shabu and Aramin 5. Investigations found that the syndicate had been using vacant houses as storage and distribution points to avoid detection by the authorities. Police have contacted the owner of the house and investigations are ongoing to trace the tenants involved. No arrests have been made so far and the case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act. An elderly man was killed after his pickup truck was crushed by a cement truck that overturned in an accident in Cebu, Sarawak on Tuesday. In the 12 p.m. fatality, the victim, identified as 60-year-old Lee Tek Chi, was pinned inside his four-wheel drive after the heavy vehicle toppled onto his pickup. The Sarawak Fire and Rescue Department said a distress call was received at 12:18 p.m., prompting the dispatch of 8 personnel from the Sungai Merah station. Upon arrival, the team found the victim's vehicle completely crushed under the cement truck. The victim died on the spot and his remains were handed over to the police for further action. Fire damages 28 shops at Chatuchak Market. The details when Nightline returns.
Abang hanya manusia biasa yang tak habis-habis buat salah.
Abang ingat Irfan ni pendera?
Dah terbukti pun. Kita nak cari kebenaran, kan?
Saya nak you pastikan tak perlu naik kod.
Saya Inspektor Razak dari unit siasatan jenayah.
Kau mana tahu? Saya kan tak nak jadi anak orang jahat.
Kau tak boleh sewenang-wenangnya nanti diri kau sebagai pengganti aku tanpa persetujuan aku.
Doa yang terlindung. Minggu akhir Isnin hingga Jumaat 7 malam di Akasiat TV3.
Anim, dulu zaman sekolah awak suka subjek apa? Mestilah sejarah. Kita sebagai rakyat Malaysia kena tahu asal-usul negara kita. Usus bocor jangan ambil mudah, boleh bawa mudarat pada badan. Harga sama, tapi kenapa saiz makanan dan barangan semakin kecil? Nantikan kupasannya. Cendawan emas punca rezeki dan pendapatan menguntungkan. Harta anda disita atau dibekukan, apa perlu buat? Semuanya di MHI, Isnin hingga Jumaat, eksklusif ditonton dan TV3.
4 drama Juan G layan bulan ni. Keberanian yang lahir dari sakit. Dania.
Tak mustahil orang lain pun boleh kena.
Khianat yang lahir dari dendam. Ringkat.
Apabila kau nak bawa anak kau yang ringkat tu naik motor tu je.
Pengorbanan yang lahir dari kehilangan. Taubatku.
Aku nak kerja tau, nak bagi kau makan.
Kehidupan yang lahir dari satu malam.
Rafi nak fikir. lagi muka dia tu.
Cerita Ahad 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Mangsa telah mengadakan hubungan intim dengan tertuduh kedua, iaitu isteri kepada tertuduh pertama.
Pada hari jadi mangsa tersebut, mangsa meninggal dunia.
Ini adalah pengedar dadah di kawasan selatan tanah air.
Dan semua itu juga telah disumbat ke dalam sebuah reban ayam.
The foreign news. Thailand's Boomjai Thai party leader Anutin Charnvirakul said on Tuesday that he would not be holding negotiations to form a coalition government yet. Although his party leads in the unofficial count, Anutin said the results are not final and must be certified by the Election Commission before he begins talks with potential coalition partners. On the stability of a future government, Anutin said it was too early to judge, as the EC had yet to determine party list seats and confirm how many constituency seats smaller parties would win. Data from the EC website show that the Boomjai Thai party has secured 178 seats so far. Also in Thailand, a fire broke out at Bangkok's Chatuchak Weekend Market late on Monday, damaging 28 shop units. The blaze, which started at around 10:20 p.m. local time, is believed to have started from a shop in Project 17 before spreading rapidly to neighboring stalls. The affected stalls included clothing shops and were single-story units with corrugated metal roofing, a factor that can contribute to the rapid spread of fire. No casualties were reported as the incident occurred after the market had closed. Preliminary findings indicate the blaze was caused by an electrical short circuit. Still in Thailand, authorities arrested a man for allegedly smuggling more than 11 kilograms of rhino horns inside wrapped meat, in a case officials linked to an international wildlife trafficking network. A 36-year-old Vietnamese man was detained at Bangkok's main airport on suspicion of illegal wildlife imports while transiting from the Democratic Republic of Congo to Laos via Ethiopia and Thailand. Authorities detected irregularities during an X-ray scan of checked luggage, leading to a search that uncovered 6 pieces of rhinoceros horn and about 12 kilograms of unidentified meat used to conceal them inside a polystyrene icebox. Officials said the value of the seized horns and the type of meat used remain unknown, and the items have been sent to a wildlife forensic lab for examination. Thailand is a key transit hub for wildlife smugglers targeting Asia's lucrative black market. Australia is bracing for more demonstrations after police were accused of using excessive force against peaceful demonstrations against a visit of Israel's President Isaac Herzog to Sydney. The Palestine Action Group in Sydney called for a Tuesday protest against police brutality, demanding the resignation of government and police officials over the repression of demonstrators. Police said 27 people were arrested after violence erupted when authorities moved to disperse thousands of protesters near Sydney's town hall. Thousands gathered to protest Herzog's visit, which is aimed at consoling Australia's Jewish community, following a mass shooting at a Bondi Beach event that killed 15 people in December. Switching to sports, football, the AFC Asian Champions League Elite. Johor Darul Ta'zim suffered a 1-2 defeat to Sanfrecce Hiroshima on Tuesday, extending their winless run against Japanese clubs to 11 matches since 2019. The Southern Tigers took an early lead at the Hiroshima Stadium in the 3rd minute through Marcos Guilherme. However, the match shifted in the 16th minute when defender Jonathan Silva was sent off for handball in the penalty area. Akito Suzuki converted the resulting penalty 2 minutes later to equalize for the hosts, then scored again in the 47th minute to complete the comeback. The results leaves JDT 7th in the 12-team East Region standings with 8 points. Leave you with visuals from the lively Chinese New Year celebrations at Media Prima Berhad. With that, I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for watching and be well, Malaysia.